Yeah, and so intuitively, everybody understands that, right? If I own a piece of the company, I'm going to work harder. But don't just take your intuition for that. This has become a favorite subject of people that are getting their PhD in management.
Mm,
And so there are over a dozen academic studies that document the fact that employee owned companies perform better and their employees are more motivated and have longer tenure because of this relationship between their efforts and the profitability of the business and the value of their account when they leave.
I love it. So, one more conversation on the employee side and the benefits of the ESOP for the employees. Um, how early should the owner consider setting up this ESOP in a way that really benefits the company, right? He's not doing it when he's ready to leave the company necessarily. He's doing it early on, I would assume, so that the company value has an opportunity to truly benefit the employees, right? Because you need time.
Well,
Time's the best friend.
yes, most business owners set up an ESOP toward the time they're ready to leave. But as you suggest, it's usually at least 5 years before their final exit. So
Got it.
oftentimes an ESOP is used as a glide path to an exit for a business owner. So many of our clients are the CEO of the company at the time they do the ESOP. And after the ESOP is done, they start this glide path as they're being paid out on their seller note. And so they might transition from being the CEO to the chairman of the board and mentor that next generation of leaders that's coming along. So an ESOP is a strategy for those business owners whose spouse might say to them, I married you to have dinner, not lunch.
I love that. Yes. Well, the funny thing about today's lifespan and economic times for business owners, many of us we're just we don't ever think we're going to retire just because what else are we going to do, right? And our spouse would probably hang us out and, throw us out the door because we came home and now are bugging them.
Exactly right. I was with a business owner in Dallas yesterday who is 84 years old. He just did the ESOP 3 years ago. Uh, and not only has he transitioned now, but the CEO of the company at the time of the transaction has now transitioned.
Mm,
And so this 104-year-old company has now had is just beginning the fourth generation of senior leadership.
wow.
And those are the kind of companies that are really attracted to ESOPs. He said to me, Dallas, Texas has had a company with my family's name on it for over 100 years.
That's
And I view this
fantastic.
company as my legacy. And I want to make sure that for the next 100 years, there's a company in Dallas with my family's name on it. And I know if I sell to private equity, that's not going to happen. And
Probably not. It will probably be assimilated into something else or broken apart, which is a common thing in mergers and acquisition kind of territory. But yeah, I love that because it really left something of value. And it's something that can continue, which in my mind, as an exit strategist and business planner, I'm always thinking about this is you created this separate entity. It doesn't die when you die. It can continue on for generations to
I,
come, as you mentioned, which is a fantastic legacy.
yep,
And your your children and their children can actually have part of it and be part of the company if that's what you write into the plan, and still have your non-birth children, your employees, be part of the company as well.
that's exactly right.
I think for legacy it's fantastic. And when done well, the owner still gets paid out. He still gets paid out. He gets time to form the next group of leaders coming in. And the funny thing that always caught me early on when I learned about ESOPs, I'm like, well, how do you train the employees to run the company? You know? And I'm like, you don't. They're just buying into it, through sweat labor. Like you said, you're actually having a well-trained leadership team running the company, and they could be part of the ESOP as well when they join on.
And that's one of the most common misconceptions and things that concern business owners until they really learn about how an ESOP works. They think that after the transaction, their company is going to be run by committee and all of the employees are going to have a voice and a vote in the operation of the company. And as you said, that's not the way it works. You have a
Yeah.
senior leadership team like you have now, but instead of you doing as much day to day as you've been doing in the past, you start handing over the reins gradually while you're mentoring them to make good decisions and to run the business the way you've run it.
Right. And I think with that, I mean, the owner will still have the founder, we'll call him, will still have control over the leadership, the guidelines, the bylaws, the direction, the motion of the company, and then sit on the board to oversee and direct and guide. And as companies grow beyond the startup phase and really start to turn into a real company that's going to live for forever and years, that's the kind of leadership you want to bring in as well. So this isn't something that just automatically happens with an ESOP. Chances are you can do this early on to really enhance the company to continue to grow profitably and having the power of many minds making decisions on the company with that board, rather than just the founder going, this is my baby, I'm gonna make it happen.
You're exactly right. There are really two things happening at the same time with an ESOP. It is a liquidity strategy, but it's also a management transition strategy. And those two things, as you're suggesting, can be separated. They don't have to happen at the same time. So if
Mm-mm.
you start the management transition strategy ahead of the time you do the ESOP, it's going to accelerate the period of time for the owner to be able to get out successfully.